I'd like to call the February 18th, 2025 village board meeting to order. Trustee Shomas, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Tracy.
President Conan.
Here.
Trustee Michaels.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Trustee Lundy.
Here.
Trustee Aaron.
Here.
Trustee Bonnie.
Here.
Trustee Shomas.
Thank you all for being here. We have a quorum this evening. Nothing under appointments, nothing under public hearing this evening, nothing under appointments and presentations. Airport report, Tony.
Okay. Good evening. We did have a meeting last week, Monday, and there's only one update, and the FAA did approve of the hangar that they're proposing to build out there. That we've been talking about it for several months now. I forgot the name of but that one, it's next to the BP hangar, what used to be the BP hangar. And that was the only thing the FAA approved. Everything else is still on hold pending IDOT and FAA approval.
Is it a private hangar?
Yes,
Can you disclose who it is? Is that out there? Or do you not know?
I can't remember.
Okay, well,
I'm
that's okay.
sorry.
Sometimes that's a good
I did say the name before, I can't think of it right now. So it's not something brand new. It's been discussed, I don't know, 6 months, a year ago, because it took this long for the FAA to move forward. It goes back to when Aurora was looking for proposals to anybody to relocate or build hangars or anything out there, so I can get it for you.
Okay. Out of curiosity, I don't know if staff brought it to the firm's attention regarding the agreement with Aurora or not, whether or not there's any conditions in there regarding signage. I don't know if that's something your firm has looked into at all.
No, we have
The
not.
agreement that we had with Aurora.
We wouldn't have to do that, so.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that. Obviously, it's been approved by the city council to have their sign told, they report on it in the past, but it's an advertising sign, as it was also put in the press, that it's, you know, they're getting a free sign and selling advertising space, so I didn't know how the village board, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, first of all, and secondly, I don't know how the village board felt about it, if there was anything that was in our agreement that they had to go through us.
I believe it is located on unincorporated property, not in the village. The sign, the location of the sign, according to Danny, which means.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I think the question is whether the actual agreement that the village has with Aurora specifies anything that they do, that they may or may not need from us.
Right, that's all. So regardless of the property that's on it, they change signage. I'd be curious if that's in the agreement. If it's not, it's not, but
Right.
thank you, Tony. Any questions for Tony? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam President, can I suggest an amendment to our agenda to move up 11B?
For as discussion, so he doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting this evening, sure. We can do that. I will move that up.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Do we?
Yes.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to amend the agenda to move item 11B up after item 6.
Could you,
Oh,
you should do it after the first public comment, just in case somebody would comment.
that's only for items.
that's true.
I see.
As to item 6. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Tracy. First, trustee White, second, trustee Bonnie.
Trustee White.
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee Lundy.
Aye.
Trustee Aaron.
Aye.
Trustee Shomas.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. Okay, up next, item 11B, the on-premises liquor license for Route 47 Wings and Tavern located at 519 Sugar Grove Parkway, Unit D. So, Michael?
Thank you, President Conan and village trustees. I'm presenting an application for an on-premises liquor license for Route 47 Wings and Tavern They plan to open a new business at 519 Sugar Road Parkway, Unit D, in the Sugar Road Center. The liquor license application is being presented to you in this way for 3 reasons. This is a new business. There are no other locations that can be visited, like there was in the case of Primo's or Cilantro. The business is not yet open, and a partial build-out has been completed. The business owner, Jay Patel, who's with us, has already made significant improvements to the lease space. He's completed improvements. The improvements include 2 bathrooms, plumbing, electrical, sprinkling, framing, and drywall. And he will finish the build-out should we receive the approval for the liquor license. Route 47 Wings and Tavern would feature a dining area with seating, a kitchen, a bar area, and a video gaming room. The build-out plan ensures that no customer or employee would have to enter or pass through the video gaming room. I'd like to pass out a larger version of the floor plan. The one that we had was, I think hard part. Staff and the applicant are looking, and the rest of the information that you've been presented to you. Staff and the applicant are looking for feedback from the village board on this application for the liquor license. Again, Jay Patel is here, and we would both be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, these are coming.
We get Penrose Goofy Boots on tap?
I don't even know what that is.
I believe it's an IPA.
It is.
Jay, do you have any other restaurant experience or?
Yes. So I work in Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
And Checkers, also we, in the cilantro, I'm gonna be running it too.
Oh, you can run Cilantro too?
This cilantro location?
Yes.
Okay. That's convenient. It's unbelievable.
Okay. In the floor plan, I have a question, but no other board member wants to jump in. When you walk in the front door, it looks like there's 3 counter stools. Go the other way, if you don't mind facing to the front, right there. Yep. See the 3 counter stools here. Just to accommodate more table seating, the most seating that I see in here is a table for 4. Is it possible, because you haven't fully built it out yet, to remove the bar seating that's there and accommodate more table seating in the front of the room?
Sure.
Okay,
And we try to put couple more tables to there, and it does fit. There's
Okay.
enough space. Michael, yeah,
okay.
so.
So beyond what the floor plan is showing us? is what
Yes,
you're saying?
there's only 1 table right now, right? But you can add 1 more table to it too.
Okay. Which would still be a 4-top unless you,
We can always do a bigger table and remove those 3.
okay,
We can do that.
okay. Now, I know when I spoke with you before, I just was mentioning this to Heidi, trustee Lindy, when we were talking, I don't even know if this is still part of it, maybe it was an early concept when I talked to them, it's been about a year. At some point it was, well, we were gonna have QR codes so that potentially you could order food from Subway or Cilantro, or because you're kind of all working together. Is that still a concept that you were contemplating, that you could order that food and have it delivered to the restaurant if somebody, like picky children, for example, don't wanna have wings?
We can always do that, but that's, for that to do it, we have to open all of it first, and then we definitely gonna look into it.
Okay.
Is there anything special on our end with that type of, with a license? Or is it just them allowing?
It's allowing it, and
Okay.
so this is a new business looking for a liquor license versus what Michael was saying, somebody coming into the community for a first time, that might be an established business, it's also, what that's gonna be.
Yeah.
This is new, so that's why the staff brought it in front of the board first.
I think, see what she's saying, like order online, let's say order online
Yeah.
on Subway, and somebody just go get it from the Subway, or Subway employee can drop it off.
Yeah.
We will allow it to eat in our bar and restaurant.
Yeah, I've been to those places, some of those places before. I never knew if it was part of their part of their licensing or if it's part of the restaurant saying yes or no. I didn't know.
It's like just allowing outside food,
Yeah,
basically.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I could comment, two of the restaurants on both on NCAP, Subway, and Cilantro have outdoor seating. So that makes it even easier for someone to go grab something from Cold Stone Creamery and walk over.
It's a sad sitting area, so.
I like the wings. I think that, it's basically what were you were telling me the business too, that Wingstop, right?
Yes.
It's like a Wingstop without the franchise of a
Yes.
Wingstop.
After we talked, he said there's no any wing place in Nasrullah. So we're gonna focus more on a wing place right now. Like,
I love
yeah.
it.
So, takeout is available on this?
Yes.
And I do notice, and I love the fact, having a daughter who's vegetarian, the buffalo cauliflower bites.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Is there any issue with bringing the liquor outside?
It would be, I mean, I would say it's off premises. They would have to have well, I'm gonna defer to you on that, but I would think
Like
it's
to like
outside.
seating areas.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
said that they have
on
a
the
shared
big sidewalk.
outdoor.
If they put
patio.
seating outside,
And can I get with the liquor license that he's applying for?
he's like, I don't wanna do that.
You don't
No,
wanna do that?
it's, no.
Okay.
And we're gonna apply for the liquor license for Cilantro too, once it's open.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have liquor over there, so if you want a liquor, I mean, we just gonna apply for beer, basically. But you can get it through Cilantro, so it's the same premises.
So the drinks that you have here are basically coming from Cilantro?
No,
Oh.
like, I'm
They'll
saying,
also-
there's gonna be, the Cilantro is the end cap, right? So it's a sitting area right there, so if you wanna sit outside and drink some liquor, we'll be applying for a liquor license for Cilantro too, but that's gonna be after we open.
He's saying he's gonna push the business to go to Cilantro. If you want an outdoor experience,
With the liquor.
Well, he was
yes.
saying that you could take the food and sit down and.
So food, we won't have any problem, you know, like you can bring the food.
That's why I
to
was
the
wondering
bar.
which license they're requiring.
I think they're trying to do the responsible thing with their liquor license and say, they're responsible to serve in this
Inside.
facility, that's where they wanna
Yeah.
keep it, and
Food is okay, but liquor is not.
Mr. Patel, do you currently hold a liquor license anywhere else?
No,
You've never held a liquor license
No.
anywhere in the state of Illinois?
No.
Are you gonna be the primary name on the liquor license for Cilantro?
yes.
for Cilantro or for this?
Both,
For both?
yes.
Okay,
But Cilantro is not, we're not applying for it right now.
not yet.
Yes.
But you do intend on being primary for both, is
Yes.
that correct?
Why does it feel like we just
I got
sat
the
and
next
with a big
page.
white front swinging?
Thank you.
You're free to go.
I was sweating over that.
I was a little nervous there for a second, I'm sorry.
But no, just along those questions, I'm guessing as a first-time license holder, there's probably gotta be a ton of hoops you gotta jump through.
Yes.
Just to maybe add some confidence here with the people who might be questioning, what does the state or the county require you to do above and beyond what a normal, if this was just a renewal, given it's your first time?
So we haven't applied in the state yet. We want to
Correct.
get it here first, and then we're gonna go to state.
Okay, but do we, for a first time, do we have like any mandatory training or anything like that, first time holders, just for any potential batches or,
No legislative discussion, so we've been talking about it, Scott brought it up, and we'll be looking at that, because we have a new license holder in place. Obviously, the master training is a statewide requirement, and he has to get a local license before he can apply for a state license.
I did take the ambassador training.
okay,
I think I saw it's attached to it.
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
All right.
okay.
All right, we might want to look into something as we're looking to grow and add a bunch of businesses and restaurants in the coming months and years, that,
Yeah, so Chief and I have had some discussion about it,
awesome.
and involving police a little bit more in the application process itself, and then having him go out for a visit just to go through some of the rules, just how it works.
Yeah, I guess
it-
that's what I was.
Yeah, it's, police are a little more involved in some other cities, not in all of them, but in some with bringing the new liquor licenses forward to the board for approval. And it's just make sure that they're fully aware of the laws and the rules and the way that it needs to be done, especially for a first-time person. So we're going to be looking. That's one of the processes we're going to be looking at this
Right.
year.
It's a good situation to be in. We got a new business looking for another liquor license and
Absolutely.
somewhere where I can go and have a cold brew some evening. Cause I like doing that.
Any other discussion? The board? Okay. All right. It sounds like nothing. I'll bring it back. Do I?
Don't 2 weeks.
Yes, I'll bring it back for,
Bring it back for what?
well, but do I have a, I don't want to put it on
He hasn't
consent.
applied for
He has applied. Yes.
Oh, he hasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do I have, can I move it to consent, or do you want this on general business?
Sounds fine.
I'm
Consent. Okay, we'll bring it back for consent agenda. Thank you.
Thanks. We're good to go.
Okay.
See you later.
Thank you. And thank you, trustee White, for moving that up. I appreciate that. I'm sure he does too. Okay, up next, public comment on scheduled action items. So we have a couple residents here. Under consent agenda this evening, we have A, approval of the February 4th, 2025 board meeting minutes. B, the approval of the vouchers. C, approval of the treasurer's report. D, a resolution approving architectural elevations and other building appearance requirements for Settlers Ridge Phase 1 rear load lots. Under general business, we have A, ordinance amending Village Code Title 12, Chapter 7, dedication of parks, land, and school sites for payment of fees in lieu thereof. Item B, a resolution approving commercial property enhancement program application for 214 South Main Street. Item C, a resolution approving change order number 1 for Wheeler Road resurfacing STP project. Item D, a resolution approving an honorary street sign for Janet Wallace. That's everything that we have on our agenda this evening for action. Do I have any public comments at this time? Going once, going twice, 3 times, we'll close that portion. Thank you. Okay, any request to remove anything from consent? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve consent agenda as previously stated?
As stated?
Second.
And first up, trustee Shomas, second up, trustee Herring. Roll call, please, Tracy.
Trustee Thomas.
Aye.
Trustee Heron.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee White.
Aye.
Trustee Lindy.
Aye.
Trustee Honey.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries. Up next, under general business, item A, the ordinance amending the village code for parks and land cash. So, Scott.
Thank you. My report is in your packet. After the discussion at the last meeting, it was the consensus to give some more flexibility to the schools. So that was included in the ordinance as written and as redlined in the back of the item. It starts on page 3 of your packet, and it is duplex today. It's a little bit different, trying to save some paper. So we've got the official ordinance updating this, and also there was a unanimous consensus, it felt like, on allowing the schools to use it for maintenance and repairs, which they currently cannot do, but then also the restriction of not using it on salary and because of the ongoing cost and the one-time nature of land cash payments. And then also staff is recommending, it didn't see that there was clear consensus, so staff is recommending to stick with the language on either paying it all up front or paying at permit for when the payments are made. We did reach out and speak to various developers. Their preference almost universally was to have the payment made at permit, in large part because of the other large cash outlays that have to be made for a new development, Fox Metro, and different money that they'd have to borrow to do a build out. So being able to pay it at permit gives them some flexibility with all the other costs they have up front. Also, staff wanted to be able to offer in the ordinance, clear direction as part of the negotiations or before even application might come into the village, of what the options are when the payment needs to be made. And just as a reminder that as part of an annexation agreement or redevelopment agreement, the timing of the land cash payment could be altered, especially with an annexation agreement. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
The speed development's moving forward, not anything that we have now, coming up now. Windsor Point. Lennar,
Okay.
right? That's already done, that they've already signed. This would be for everything else moving
No,
forward.
this would
This
go
would
for
count for
Lennar.
them.
Yes.
This would count for everything, any permit that's pulled.
So if this would, for the way that the land cash is usable, it would be for any land cash payment made after today, unless the annexation agreement had separate language about it. So there is land cash payments in the annexation agreement for Crown, but it doesn't say how the money can be sent by the schools, so that if it's not in there, then it goes off of our ordinance.
Okay.
So any land cash payments from Crown would follow these rules. They are made though at permit according to the annexation agreement with Crown. And Lennar for Brighton Ridge has asked that the payments be made because before our ordinance was silent on it, so they had asked that it be made at permit as well. So that is what they'd be requesting as part of their redevelopment agreement as well. But they did not have any requests as to how the money should be used, so that would follow this ordinance.
Good.
Should the payments, if they're gonna do it at permit, have an escalation clause that they go up 5% a year? Because 80,000 today is worth more than 80,000 a few years from now. So it seems like there should be an escalation clause if they do decide to go with permit, especially if you have a stalled development and time elapses. And there should be, the school district needs to cover their costs.
I don't believe, Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but the $80,000 number has been changed or looked at for quite a bit of time, and there hasn't been an escalator in past agreements.
No, they haven't. That's part of the next round that we're gonna do is look at all of that. 80,000 is included in that. I know other places when we've done some review, there is at least one place that set it back in 22 and then does have an escalation factor based on that initial market value. So that is something we're gonna look at as far as what the market value of the 80,000, whether that's correct or not. We haven't looked at it where I haven't seen it where it increases based on yearly if it's at permit from the original acquisition or original development. So,
But this doesn't prevent us from setting, whenever we want, a different per acre amount, right?
Correct, we can change that. This is your village board's policy, and the recommendation that I have in my report is that we look at this, especially as we are developing more frequently. That this is an ordinance that we look at, maybe not every year with budget, but more frequently than we have. And also to meet with, the plan is to meet with the school and park district and try to bring back recommendations so that this can help meet their needs as well.
No, 80,000 is a pretty nice number considering what land values are nowadays.
Should you take out the specific dollar amounts then? And,
We just have to do an
No,
amendment to
just
the ordinance.
okay.
And does 2 let you amend it a little bit of the appraisal portion on the fair market value?
yeah, so if the village and or the developer doesn't think the 80,000 is correct, we can't go have an appraisal, that will change that $80,000 number. And the number is improved, it's not just fair land, so that's why it's 80,000. I would say, I've done a few surveys, Yorkville's at 101,000, Batavia's 150,000 an acre, improved acre, so, the 80,000, and then I believe it was Montgomery that looked at the 2022 setting it and then increasing it on escalation, they said there's a no, well, with an escalation.
Can you tell how many subdivisions have been approved that we're actually paying land cash on?
I do not have that off the top of
Well, are you cutting checks to the school district for
my head.
permits?
On impact fees, there are some that have land cash, but most of those annexation have reverted back to the village's fees because they all expired. They only have active when it's handed over.
Okay, and do they pay land cash? I'm sorry now.
There's no school site in there, right?
No.
They do.
Yeah,
Both
what's-
school and parks.
And what are they paying for permit?
School district is $515.90, park is $523.14.
It's very light compared to what the ordinance is. Right, because if we're talking about, and I'm trying to think of how many acres are paying for farm, and it's a reasonable amount of land with the tensions and all, I don't know the number off the top of my head. The point is, the land cash fees that are being paid, was that amended because of the annexation agreement? Because it doesn't seem like it would comply with the ordinance that was there.
That number, I can say when I did that was not based on a land donation acreage number. So that was carrying forward from previous annexations when it was original.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that was calculated on the original annexation.
Okay. But the Settlers Ridge pay? No, because they have a land
There's
donation.
correct. Yeah, correct.
That, so, okay, can I ask a question about that then? If there's, sorry, if there's a land donation, because we're dealing with infill now that's happening, that has started a while back. So in that particular neighborhood, if they donated the land as part of the original agreement, but now you have Ryan Holmes in there who wants to move forward with it, you know, they're trying to master plan the rest of it, because that's what the board asked them to do. And the school district is saying, we don't want that, right? Is that something we're just amending with them as they come forward with their new master plan? So they're gonna absorb that land as part of, you know, and start building homes or however that looks? And then we're gonna apply this land cash to those permit fees?
Right, what I imagine is something similar to what's happening with Lennar, where there was an active annexation that had things in there that probably aren't gonna be used and utilized, just like Settlers Ridge is, where whether it's an amendment to the annexation agreement or a development agreement, like Lennar is doing, it would set those new parameters where they're not donating land anymore. It would become a fee
Okay,
when they bring back that master plan for the rest of that land. That's
which is obviously what the school district needs, and they've expressed that to you.
And then we plan to, before we do, so this is the small changes to help us in the short term. When we come back with a larger recommendations after looking in more detail at the ordinance, we're gonna meet with the school district and the park district before we come back with those changes, because the school district could say, we don't even really want land, so we wanna incentivize it to get land cash. And we work through that with them to come back with our recommendations to help fill the needs, because ultimately the money goes to them. This money does not come to the village. So we promised to involve them in that negotiate or that plan to talk to them first before coming back.
Well, it comes to us and then gets dispersed.
Yeah, it does, yeah, it's just held by the village and then dispersed.
Right. What do you do, it quarterly, annually, or quarterly?
We did it quarterly because we weren't getting along.
Okay,
So if we got more, we probably would do it more often.
more often,
And technically, they're supposed to pass a resolution and then request the funds from us.
per our ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or discussions? Is the board, all right with the red line as you see in front of you? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve item A, the ordinance as previously stated?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
First on trustee Aaron, second on trustee Shomis. Roll call please, Tracy.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
trustee Thomas,
Aye.
trustee Michaels,
Aye.
trustee White,
Aye.
trustee Lindy,
Aye.
trustee Bonnie,
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. Up next, the resolution approving the commercial property enhancement program for 214 South Main Street. Michael.
Thank you, President Conan, village trustees. Last November was the discussion on the commercial property enhancement program application for 214 Main. Took feedback from the village board. There was a tenant that had to vacate one of the units, and they had frankly a lot of debris there on site. So the decision was, we decided, and so did the applicant, that we need to get that cleaned up before they were to come back for approval. That's now been done. In that time, they actually reduced their, at the request, from $51.89 to $46.05, and that was done based on the recommendation of the Public Works Department that no new trees be placed in the right of way in front of the property, so that lowered their expenditure, therefore lowered their grant amount. So what's before you is a request to approve the application for $46.05, and again, they submitted this application under the current criteria. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions or discussion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Just one brief comment, I'll vote in favor of this because he's playing by the rules of existing, community reinvestment, but going forward, I don't think there should be repairs in that. Would not vote for repairs that are submitted in this.
Yeah, so at the previous village board meeting, the CPAP program was discussed. We are going to be coming back to you in March to talk about new criteria, and one in which basically the applicant would bring a concept plan to the village board for discussion. So yes, we will be looking at all that criteria that was discussed at the meeting.
Thank you, and so there will be no applications until the village board can modify.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I do have a first on trustee White, I think a second on trustee Heron. Roll call, please, Teresa.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Shawns?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Up next, the resolution approving a change order for, change order number 1 for Wheeler Road resurfacing STP.
Good evening. You have my board report in front of you and the attachments, the change order from EEI regarding this project and sub-proposal from Huff and Huff to do the environmental impact assessment for this project at Wheeler Road. Some of you may recall this road was reconstructed and rerouted around the airport runway in like 1998. So this road has never been repaved. So the initial pavement is in such bad shape based on the corners that they graded all of it off. So that could get into the base when we go to the approved road, so we have to have environmental assessment if they have to haul any materials out. Okay. Pretty standard practice when you're trying to be ahead of the IDOT stuff, we look over the project.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brad. Any questions for Brad? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item C, the resolution as previously stated?
As stated.
Thank you.
Second.
First at trustee Shoma, second at trustee Heron. Roll call, please, Tracy.
Trustee Shawns?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. Up next, the resolution approving an honorary street sign for Janet Wallace.
Good evening. We received an application from trustee Shomas for an honorary street sign for Janet Wallace. I believe you were able to present the information, and I gave her a temporary layout like sign of it.
Did everybody
once you guys-
receive the application? The award?
Yes,
Received
it
the
was in the
job?
packet, yeah. And
Okay.
once you guys approve it, then we'll get the sign made and put it up on Main Street. It should take a couple months to get the sign made. Okay?
Where's it gonna be placed, sir?
On Main Street, because she was active with the Job Shield School.
Where?
We were gonna put it on Meadows,
I thought we were putting up one.
just one on Main Street and Cross Street then. Yeah, that's right. So when you come to Main and Cross to go to school, you'd see it there. Because there's so many intersections, and Snow Street will have the Joe Wolf one on it. So
Right.
we'll just put it there.
Just one in this case.
That's right. I remember it.
Yeah. Here's a temporary thing. But, you know, Brad and his handy artwork, so this is her mock-up. I think they're very well received by the community. and
Sure.
I think they're really nice touch. So thank you for signing.
You're welcome. I worked hard on it.
Yeah. All right. Can I get a motion to approve item D, the resolution for the honorary street sign for Janet Wallace?
As stated.
Second.
And first on trustee Shoma, second on trustee Heron. Roll call, please.
Trustee Shawns?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. Up next, under just, public comment, sorry. Public comment for any and all items. Also this evening, we have item A, amending Title 1, Chapter 14, Vehicle Impoundment. And also item C, the 25-26 Budget Workshop number 1. Do we have any public comments at this time? Going once, going twice, 3 times, we'll close that portion. Okay, up next, Chief, amending Title 1, Chapter 14, Vehicle Impoundment.
Thank you and good evening. Back in 2023, the Metro West, along with the Illinois Municipal League, went in front of the legislator to try to enact certain additional aspects that municipalities can do that are non-home rule that apply to home rule communities, and one of them had to deal with administrative hearings. Non-home rule communities had greater latitude of what they can do, and Metro West pushed forth this initiative, and it made it through. So back in February of last year, 2024, a model ordinance was put forth through Metro West. It was brought forward to the village board, and you guys approved it. Since then, and let me back up a little bit. In 2013, the village board approved the initial administrative seizure, impoundment of vehicles, and fell under the police code. Since then, over the years, we also incorporated into it zoning, so that a zoning ordinance can come in front of the administrative hearing officer and be handled here versus the circuit clerk's office, and they have options to the law. So during this past year, we realized it was an oversight when this went into effect. Our code that we had in place was very lengthy of what the offenses that we could seize or tow a vehicle, and being a non-home rule community, there's certain offenses that you have to stay within. So we just felt it would be best to match the state statute, and that way, if any time the state statute changes or they add anything, it can be incorporated. We'll have the officers will have a larger sheet that more offenses apply to than the 13 that are listed, but our current one, I believe, has 7, and this will take us up to 13. So be happy to answer any questions. It's basically a housekeeping issue and make it more streamlined for the administrative officer, hearing officer, when they have cases come in front of it. They can look at the state law, compare it side by side with our village code.
This is just to impound a vehicle, it's not forfeiture?
This section that we're asking is dealing with administrative seizure and impoundment. There's another section within the current code, the administrative code, that has to deal with forfeitures. We're not asking to change that.
How often are cars impounded in Sugar Grove?
It fluctuates, so I think sometimes we're doing 60 a year, sometimes we're doing up to
60?
Yes, 60, sometimes we're doing 90, over 100, it just depends on, the offenses that are in front of us. And then some individuals, as long as they have a valid driver with them, they can take a car unless it's a requirement to have it towed.
Okay.
And then on a monthly basis, they come here. Every administrative tow that happens a month before comes to this room for the administrative hearing for litigation.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just item number 7. How does that apply, given the updates to Illinois laws of late? Is that just the general verbiage as far as any other controlled substance, or is it specific to cannabis? I mean, you gotta think people, if they're going to a place to buy it, they gotta be able to bring it home.
You can, you absolutely can. So this applies both to cannabis and any other unlawful controlled substance. So if you're getting it through medical, or if you're getting it through a recreational dispensary, there's certain conditions that has to be packaged in.
Okay.
And I think we're talking about a lot of people having open containers, smoking, while they're driving.
Okay,
So,
and that's called out in the Illinois Controlled Substances Act. As
for
referenced there.
the cannabis. And in addition, if
Okay.
someone else has any other prescription drugs or narcotic drugs that are illegal, is the controlled substance one.
Okay.
So there's 2 classifications under 7.
Okay.
So number 12, I mean, doesn't it actually give you authority to impound a car for speeding?
No. And yes. So it depends on the certain speed. So yes, you're absolutely correct. So we do tow for vehicles that are doing 40 plus miles per hour up to 56, 30. So, but that depends on other factors if they're administratively towed.
And Jamie will never do that again, he promised.
Yeah, promise. Is that not considered a misdemeanor if you're doing 15 over?
No,
It's
no,
not.
it's not.
What's the threshold?
I need a traffic cop, to be honest. I don't know if it's 26 over becomes the violation, so I have to look that one up. So, but we rarely tow for someone that's doing 26. It's just it's a ticket and we're cite and release. But when we hit the hundreds out there or the 90s, we're towing.
Good to know.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you know.
My Jeep doesn't go that fast, I promise.
Any other items of discussion? Really, he's trying to align it with the state statute. Okay, sounds like the board is good, so just bring that one back for consent. Thank you. Okay, up next, we're already here, budget workshop now. Hold on, let me get to the page before you dive in.
93.
93. I know, but it's still in my package. Okay. The floor is yours.
Alright, well, thanks for all the help from the Department of Finance. So, this workshop will be discussing the general fund only. As I stated in my memo, most of the projections have stayed the same. I did do some explanation on them, so if there are questions on the projections, let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna mainly focus on the next year budget, added to the general fund. So just overall, inflation for 2024 came in at 2.9%. The LGDF is expected to increase about 3.2% over the previous year for fiscal year. Now, use tax is anticipated to decrease significantly, and that is due to a change in this level playing field act again that went into effect January 1st of 2025. The effect of that is unknown at the time because it is based on obviously where those purchases are happening, where they live, rather than a per capita basis. So what our budget will show is what we lost in use tax, we increased in sales tax at an even rate due to the unknown amount of change. We won't see that first one until at least April, based on that change in January. So we're unknown at the time, so we're kind of staying conservative and saying that the numbers are going to stay the same. We're not going to increase them. Now, when that initial level playing field act went into effect, we saw a huge increase. We're not anticipating to budget for any type of increase. With that change, they are anticipating that there should be an increase, but again, it's all based on where those purchases are being made and brought back to. So looking at medical insurance overall, we had about a 7% increase. Total, this budget does reflect a surplus of $55,000 for next fiscal year.
Matt, I just want to say one thing about that. It seems like other municipalities were getting hit harder than that 7%. I mean, some are up as 15.
So
You heard that on that.
our overall was anywhere from 3.5 up to 12, depending on the plan type. But based on our usage and population, our average with contributions is about 7.
That's great.
So that's what.
It's not great, but it's better than what some other
Yeah,
communities
it's a
are
little
doing.
higher than last year. We were a little right around 3 overall. But yes, we are kind of at the mercy because we are under ACA still because we're a small group, so we can control the types of plans that we offer outside of being the standard plans that are offered through everyone. Everyone's paying those same rates.
There was an informal poll on the last Metro West call, and most communities are double digits. So this is fortunate for us.
So as I said, $55,000 in surplus for this year. That doesn't include those 0 property taxes. There you will see throughout here, there is a decrease in revenue and a decrease in expenses for the budget in the year. We'll talk about that as we get to the developer type expenses and revenues. So getting into it on page 96 is the top of that page, moving really right into 97. Talking about general fund revenues, we budgeted for the new construction that we approved with the tax levy, plus an anticipated 33,700 from the TIF 1 termination. That's our portion of those surplus funds. Franchise agreements will see a decrease. That's MetroNet no longer offering cable services, and a decrease in the settlement that we will not be getting next year, which we're receiving this year. Building permits, we did see a significant increase, and that is based on Settlers Ridge subdivision moving forward with 1A in area 5 and 6, along with the Lennar development. Currently, the budget includes 75 residential home permits. That is under what was provided to us from the developer, and we staff felt comfortable with that number because there's still earthwork to do for Lennar. Ryan Homes did give us 80 homes in Settlers Ridge. Lennar saying 30. We were conservative at the 75 just because Lennar hasn't gone through that full process or started earthwork yet. Income taxes are going to increase based on those projections we just talked about by now. Sales tax rebates, we currently now do have 0 rebates out there for sales tax, so that number is 0 this year. Sales tax revenues, as we discussed, we did increase it about 3.5% in total, but also increased just the loss of the use tax directly into sales tax. Review and development fees did have a significant increase, and that's just because residential homes and reimbursement. So this is where we're going to talk about revenues and expenditures both decreasing based on the previous year projections. That is strictly due to being able to show true expense to the village that is not reimbursable by any type of developer. So what we're doing on the accounting side of our end is when we bill them, it's no longer hitting the village's budget for an expense and a revenue. It is running through a liability account. So we won't see it because we don't want it to show as like increasing our revenues or increasing our expenses. So that's why our revenues and expenses slightly decreased from the previous year, is just because we removed all of those developer related expenses and revenues. And then interest income for this year for the general fund did have a significant decrease, as there are no investments that are maturing this year. They matured last year and they're out for 2 years. So just kind of getting into investments. Currently the village's portfolio is roughly over 10 million. Our weighted average is about 4.17%. And that does have one investment that will be maturing at the end of this fiscal year. That was at 1.7 from 2.5 years ago. We are still seeing somewhere over 4% currently on interest, so we're hoping that continues until that last one does mature. So overall, on the revenue side, there are 3 resolutions now that have been presented as draft within the packet that are affected into the budget. The first is the new home permit fee. At the current time, we did review it. The only thing that we were reviewing was the minimum permit fee to see if that covered the cost, and we have that it does. So we don't have any request to change that minimum permit fee of the $1,135. The zoning building permit fees, if we want to, we can go through those now as we're discussing, or we can wait till the end after we're done with the full budget. There are some changes in there, mainly relating to kind of billing and escrows rather than actual fee changes. So.
Can we go through them while you're on it, Matt?
Sure. So it's going to be page 117.
Thank you.
That's the part of that exhibit. The actual first change is on 119. Under type 1 permits, when we have non-residential buildings, so any commercial, industrial, what we're finding is engineering review is not covering the costs anymore. There's been a lot of re-reviews, changes in the plans that are costing us money. So essentially, what this wording is changing is adding an escrow for all non-residential, no matter what that is. So whether it's a developer or just a new current a current business doing something, we would be requiring an escrow of $2,500 minimum, or as determined by community development. So if it needs to be more, but that would be the minimum. And what that is just to cover it, while we're tracking the engineering, if it ever goes over what their flat dollar amount will be, the escrow would kick in, so that we're not losing money if we're having other consultants looking for, and reviewing those permits. So that's what the wording is, and then it would be billed at the final permit. On page 120, so we removed under non-residential, the non-residential remodeling with plumbing. And essentially what we are saying is that would be a new non-residential because we added an asterisk under at the bottom of type 1 permits that says all residential or non-residential that have plumbing review will have an additional fee assessed, as that's an outside consultant to us. So they would be provided that at permit fee, whatever we are charged from the consultant. We added that language regarding the minimum 2,500 escrow for all non-residential work.
And real quick, so when someone comes in for permit, obviously there's plumbing as part of the permit. The inspection without, are you collecting that fee at time of permit, saying, okay, this is the review, and then what if that plumber has to go back for re-inspection? How does that person then pay for that?
So there's a re-inspection fee.
Okay.
But the permit cost would be known ahead of time because we would be sending it to the consultant and having them provide us with a fee of what the review will cost. So that from Danny's explanation is when somebody comes in and they review it all, it's all reviewed prior to issuing the permit, and when they issue the permit, that's when they pay for the permit. So it would be added to the fee once they are coming in to receive the permit.
Okay. Thank you.
And then moving on to type 2 permits. Again, this is regarding those application of inspections during the construction. So that's being billed at the final inspection before the permit is closed out. And also adding a section that talks about if the improvement does change the grading of your property, it will require additional engineering that will be done. Right now that is not called out within our fee schedule. And the main focus on that one is a lot of in-ground pool permits do change the grading, and that requires a lot more engineering review than we are anticipating based on the permit. So as we get into that swimming pool in-ground, because this has not been looked at since we do not have no longer an in-house plumber, that we're adding, it's the same permit fee because our inspections are the same for gas, electric, and defense, and then it would be in plumbing review and inspections, which they would know ahead of time based on when they get the plans submitted to the consultant. We are reducing the fee for concrete slab to $100 from $125. Same with patio, from $125 down to $100. And then on 122, this is the section where you talk about plumbing inspections and reviews that we are going to be charging based on if your permit requires any plumbing of work. Page 124. Back when we originally did this with the fees and the impact fees to this, we implemented the fire district impact fee for commercial and industrial and single family. On this one, we did not put a minimum in on this, and staff believes that we should put a minimum in, and this is the minimum that came from the Crown annexation fees. So that is just adding this in as a minimum, but not changing the actual square footage. And then on 125, we're changing the word structures to plans, and adding this as we are starting to get plans submitted, reviewed, sent back, and then the applicant changes the plans after all the review has already been completed. And there's, at the current moment, there's nothing for the village to recruit that extra time that we're putting in to re-review all of that they resubmitted or changed. So this is adding this section saying that they may be charged up to 50% of the original fee for the permit. And that's at the discretion for community development based on the change that is being submitted back to the village. Example, they're not going to change if the fence permit moves a post hole 3 feet. But if somebody changes the entire master plan or a change of a permit, they're gonna have to re-review the whole thing. So that's where the discretion of the community development will be, is based on the charge of how much work is being changed from the original review of the permit. And then on 126, which is the last, is adding a section regarding as-built plan revisions. Another area where we are having a lot of resubmittals and people and developers are not addressing all of the comments and revisions from the review the first time of the as-bills. And they just continually will resubmit, and we are constantly reviewing. So this is essentially adding a fee after your third submittal back to the village. And it is not a way to make money, it is a way to get developers to address all of the items the first time. But we are starting to get that more often than not, where it's taking up. Those are the changes. Are there any questions on those?
Thank you.
Yep. So back to page 98. The third one, which is the newest one, that is the implementation of the 1% grocery tax ordinance. The first budget that is affected by this elimination by the governor is this upcoming budget for 25-26. We estimate that lost revenue is going to be roughly exceeding $200,000. And are proposing, and the budget that is proposed in front does have that included in leaving that grocery tax in there. I will say this passage of this ordinance is not increasing the taxes. It is leaving those continuation of the sales tax level that it currently is within the village that was forced on all local governments by the governor.
Is there any talk by the state to reinstitute that with the deficit? No.
The state really won't look at that because it's not,
Yeah.
the state gets no money from it. That's why it was so easy for them to eliminate it. Put it back to the local governments, as there's no effect of them. It was just, they collected it and passed it on. So yeah, it's not a discussion. So this would be implementing it, and under the current governor and the state would collect it for us, and they would not charge the 1% admin fee, is what we are being told. So this budget doesn't include that.
And so the passage of an ordinance, obviously proposes budget, if we cut that and leave that grocery tax out, we're now at $150,000 deficit, but we just negotiated a bunch of other things for a tax that everybody is used to paying anyway. Most municipalities, I don't know if all, I'm not gonna say all, but the majority of municipalities are instituting their grocery tax and keeping that revenue. The state is still collecting it. Their early proposal was that the state was gonna collect it and have a pass-through fee. So they were actually gonna start taking money off the top. That was last year. And I think there was enough pushback downstate that they didn't do that. So there is no fee. They're still gonna handle the money the way they did. He just put it on, it was a talking point during his budget address last February. And so we have to address it locally. It was they did give local government, non-home rule municipalities the authority to do it. So that was the concession, is that everybody was allowed to implement this tax that otherwise wouldn't have been as a non-home rule unit of government.
I would just add, not implementing but maintaining the existing tax. Also, this is a use tax, so that people like myself that will shop at the Aldi and Jewel and Sugar Grove that don't pay property taxes here. So it is not, it's a different form of tax. And with people going up and down 47, I know we do get people paying this tax that aren't necessarily residents.
Any thoughts or concerns about that? Like I said, the budget was put together with that tax in there. It would be an ordinance that we would pass alongside the budget. Okay.
And I apologize, I did a whole survey on this and didn't include it. So, I did survey, there was 34 respondents to it, 30 of them have either passed or are proposing. 3 are not, and 1 is not affected, so they're not doing it. So,
I think with the size that we are, it's essential for us at this point, and it allows us, you know, to do exactly what Scott was saying is, you know, we have maybe residents in Hinckley or, you know, Elbert, where we're coming home from work and patronizing our grocery stores. It's better to do it this way than to implement a property tax that our residents have to absorb, so. And we still wouldn't be absorbing the entire, even if we did an increase in property tax at the max CPI, we still wouldn't be capturing $150,000. Or $200,000 rather. Okay.
all right, bottom of 9 and 8. So these are just some kind of village-wide expenditures. Salaries have been budgeted based on the board's approval of the 4%, plus any steps that are eligible for employees. Again, patrol and sergeants are set to receive 4% as well. On those contracts, 25-26 is the expiration of that contract, so negotiations will start with them towards the end of this calendar year. IMRF contributions for 25 did increase 78% from 3.82% to 6.78. Medical and dental insurance for 26 was budgeted at 5%, kind of in the middle of our last 2 years. Just an accounting change for equipment throughout every department was just changing where copies are being accounted for, and then the vehicle and equipment replacement schedules have been fully funded within this budget presented. So getting into the departments, IT services overall decreased. There weren't a lot of large projects identified as from the kind for the village itself. There were hours included that we'll talk about in the next budget for the police department improvements for the need for what the kind is going to have to do as our servers and everything to move. We'll talk about that at the next budget workshop. Administration salaries overall were the increase, and this was a majority due to a full budget of the deputy village clerk position, as last year was only at 5 months. Police department full staffing is budgeted at 12 positions, including the police chief and deputy chief. There's currently 11 part-timers and 2 part-time clerks. Pension contributions are at 100% EAM based on water payment. The state number was lower, so we are funding, and also the state number is at 90% funding, which still doesn't make sense. So we're at 100% EAM, which is water company. There was a new expense within general equipment, and that's the warning locator and accidents self-service. This allows the chief and deputy chief the ability to notify GPS and navigations regarding incidents and accidents in the village, and it pops up on there to let them and notify travelers who avoid the area. That's at $1,000. So there was an increase in the taser line purchase for general equipment in terms of there needs to be a purchase of 5 additional tasers. The current ones are about 15 years old at the end of their useful life. We are working with Axon. 9 years, still at the end of useful life. But we are working with Axon to group body-worn cameras, the tagging software, and tasers all into one contract, which we probably will be presenting to the board in the next couple of months as a new contract that will group the 22 original body-worn cameras, the 7 new ones, all of the tasers, and the tagging into one lump sum, and then another 5-year contract. So we terminate the old contracts that we have and have a new 5-year contract.
Matt, can I address just the new expense for general equipment and the warning locator? Can we talk about that versus what's the, you know what I'm gonna say, Chief, the warning app that we used to split many years ago with the fire protection district, I forget the name of it. Nixle, right? Yeah, and I don't receive those warnings very often. I guess my question is, I'm sure it's baked into the budget. I know I know like Tony talks about it at times that Aurora uses it differently than we do. We don't want to overwhelm the community with Nixle alerts. Aurora uses it to let you know that there's a parade, and different things that are happening there. And we use it as an emergency kind of service, but it doesn't seem like it's being utilized. It's expensive. I don't know. And then we are adding another service here, I guess. It's a notifier for emergency services. So I'm trying to understand the differences first.
Okay, so, the Everbridge Nixles, I think about the other $6,000 is split between the water fund and the general fund in the police department budget, so it's about $2,600 a year that we have that service available to notify residents. And the nice thing about the Everbridge, and you're absolutely correct, we've been very fortunate that we haven't had to use it a lot. It can be, you can set up shapes to notify certain areas for water main breaks, to boil orders, to police activity, to listen to kids. But it's a policy decision if you want to expand it to incorporate other additional items to take advantage. If you so choose, it's an available option, but then residents get complacent. They're always constantly getting these emails, messages, text messages, and then when something actually does happen, and what's the, I'm not sure what the right balancing tool for that is. The new tool that we have is basically, it's an alert that we can put in our spot cars. There are 2 cellular, the cost is really for cellular now, $1,000, it's $500 a car. Is if we have a major accident or a major event that we want to avoid traffic to go through, we can set up a device, or our device will, once we get on scene, can activate. It will ask those drivers to avoid the area. They don't have to, but it will also put the line on their GPS map, their driving map, their Google map, their telling them there's police activity, fire activity, whatever, to make sure they reroute themselves. And that's typical when we see the major incidents or a fatality where we had to shut the road down for 4 hours. We got semi-trucks stacked because we can't relocate them down the side street, so they just sit and wait and they idle. It would hopefully send an alert further back for them, avoid shooting the road, reroute themselves.
And that comes across as a message on our phone, like an urgent message?
No, that is specific to, it's specific to your car GPS navigation, or if you handheld a mobile device on your maps, it will tell you avoidance. Sometimes you see, when you're driving, it's red and yellow, and when you're heading to another jurisdiction or accident ahead or police activity, that's what this does. It allows us to send our own alert versus having enough people to trigger something that's going on in that area while it's slowing down, and then the maps change. And then we turn it off when we're done with our incident.
Okay. The only thing I want to say about Nixle, and I don't know if, I know it's a lot, I know it's, you got your own things that you're working on, but specifically, what is it, a week and a half ago when we had the icy weather, and I know the crew was out, they were laying salt down, and then we had like freezing rain on top of it. That's a great opportunity to use Nixle, and just like, it's almost like a weather alert to our residents that are diving into this and say, hey, Public Works is out, salting the roads, please be advised that the roads are slick, whatever it might be. That's, I think that's where I know there's so much going on through Public Works and the crews getting out that sometimes we forget to put the message out. But I'd like to see, I haven't seen any messages this year. I don't know if there's an account. I know they.
There is in my staff report.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't seen, I don't know why they're not hitting my phone, so.
Yes, because there hasn't been any activity.
Yeah.
So, but you're absolutely correct.
So I don't know how anybody else feels about it. This will, like I said, it slowly came into our budget. It is split between 2 funds,
Correct.
but it used to be split between 2 agencies, prior to two taxi bodies, and now it's ours. And if we're gonna have it, I just like to see it utilized, that's all, without overwhelming the community with messages. I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on that. Apparently I'm the only one.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Disagree with it.
I think something like, hey, the roads are really slick or something like that. That might-
Yeah, I mean, maybe around the corn oil time, road closures,
Yeah.
divert traffic, those specific things that we know that we're always doing, we kind of just draw attention to, let's not forget Nixle. Okay, sorry. All right, Matt.
Alright, so the final thing for police is, the continuation of the 8 license plate graders that were approved during the 6 month, that is continued throughout, for next year's budget. Economic development, really only big change on here, there was, $10,000 is added as a grant match, which is also split between economic development and community development, that's $10,000 each, for an updated economic development, community development downtown plan through CMAP, and that was, the number that they provided as if we were to get a grant, that's our match portion. So that's the new expense within economic development.
So no grant, no spend.
Correct, essentially. Public Works, so included in here for repair maintenance of buildings, is 2 requests from Public Works staff, is the replacement of the wash bay heaters at $6,000, as well as the replacement of the Public Works fence for $15,000. These are split between water and sewer, so these are the general fund portions. And these are 2 requests from them.
Can you just have Brad talk about the fence for a second, because I was under the impression that you're also relocating, so new fence, relocate.
Yeah, currently it runs on the north side of the parking lot, on the north property line, and heads east. And that's like an additional probably 300 feet of fence that we really don't need. It's aesthetically, it doesn't look good when you form a parking lot, so we're gonna bring it flush with the building and then put slats in it. Because when the building was originally constructed, the fence was just chain link. And so the cheapest alternative to meet our current code was the fabric stuff, and it's a nightmare. So we're gonna put slats in it. To do that, we have to add some additional posts in different locations and reset some posts, because the fence is over 20 years old, so.
What's the price difference, not that I'm gonna spend more, but what's the price difference between,
To
that-
replace it all?
you know,
Oh gosh, I don't know, I didn't even consider that because I thought it would be a lot more. Maybe it was 30 grand just to fix what we need.
okay,
Yeah.
to be continued at a different time. I was thinking more of like the fencing that we have here, but that's probably.
That doesn't even meet the code for the industrial park, because we have to have shielding.
Oh, right.
You know, and you can't
Yeah.
put slats in that, so then you're back to the fabric, and then it's just a sail out there, so.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Yeah.
Blowing diaper, as I just referred. Okay, sorry.
Alright, and then just an accounting change was loop the water and sewer charges from Public Works, it's just the water government. And then there was a reduction in the budget for traffic control supplies for light pole replacements, as our current inventory is full. Then community development, so obviously salaries are gonna change, they're gonna increase on projections to account for the full staffing with an entire year, the planning and zoning administrator and community development director at the same time. There were 2 new conferences added for the community development director and planning and zoning, that they view as being beneficial to attend. It's the APA state and national. The APA state is for both of them, the national is just one. And then a change is being implemented, again, as we discussed, developer-related expenses are no longer going to affect the village's budget. So any reimbursement expense for legal, engineering, and other professional will no longer be shown in the budget or as a revenue. So that is reflected as a decrease in that expense. And then the other half of that $10,000 is in the budget for the downtown plan with CMAP. Finance department overall slightly increased their salaries, and there was a small increase for the new audit, engagement letters for police pension fund and the OPEB bachelor. Those monies that were approved this past year. Boards and commissions marketing budget was reduced by $15,000 as this directly related to the marketing firm's need as a project-based needs. After this last year, staff was able to do more internally learning from that firm. And we also did include a quarterly in-house newsletter that was included rather than outsourcing and doing that. And then the transfer to capital fund was also included at the $200,000 again this year.
Matt, go back to page 6, IMRF contributions. Page 6. I'm sorry.
98.
Yeah, 98, thank you. The IMRF contributions, why is that going up so much? We had pretty good returns on investments?
So it's on returns, but it also is based on the retirements that we currently had to, because they go over 5 years. So
I'm sorry.
they blend all of our expenses over a 5-year period. So we've seen actually a pretty significant decrease over the last 5 years, from about 9% down to this 3%. It's going back up. We've had recent retirements that have affected that long-term cost for us. It seems like a large percentage, which it is, but when I've asked around of communities' contribution rates, because this is the 6.78 is village assured growth. Everyone doesn't pay the same percentage, it's based on your actuaries. When I brought this up in my treasurer group, they were all very upset that I even had a 78% increase to get me to 6.78%. A lot of them are still in double digits for their contribution rates. So it is a large increase for the village itself, but overall we are still a lot better off as far as our contributions in comparison.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yes.
Fair enough.
That was what I have for general.
Okay, does anybody have questions as you went through the detail?
Seems like compared to a lot of other municipalities, financially, we're pretty sound.
I would say so, yeah, and we're able to still have the funds put away. We'll talk more capital stuff, which is where you're gonna really kind of see that financial stability. At the next budget workshop, where we're looking at all of our capital improvement plan, our equipment, this building, all of that will be discussed at the next one. You'll kind of really see the overall financial stability, because that's where all those additional funds have gone that are helping us long term.
Okay,
It seemed, if you look at the trends from 2022, or 23, 24, 25 to 26, it seems like our revenue is decreasing, but that's primarily because of the reimbursements are being pulled out.
Yeah, we pulled out, I don't know the exact amount, but almost 180,000 that we had as an expense in our revenue.
Okay.
In reimbursements. So it was a significant amount, and the reason for that, just so everybody is aware, why I really looked at that, is when we get our IRMA premiums, they base our rates on revenue based. So it's not size, it's not claims, it's all of that, but they also look at it from a revenue base. So I'm trying to not have our revenue show kind of numbers that don't really reflect our revenues, it's just a pass through. So that's why I started looking at removing the revenue so that it helps us a little bit down long term with IRMA based on revenue basis.
what is the threshold of revenue?
There's no threshold, it's just they take your percentage based on the whole group.
Okay,
But revenue is how they base their premium.
well, thank you for pulling that out. Okay, any other questions?
No, I really like the one pager that we put together there. I think it paints some interesting pictures, and it's got some nice bullets on there from the successes, and demonstrates the struggles, and maybe some of the little more graphic background on why certain decisions have been made over the course of the year too. It was really good. I'm guessing that's something we're gonna post on our website.
Is this one of the quarterly?
Yeah, so might steal a little bit of my thunder from my staff report, but I'm happy to talk with a lot about that document.
I don't have anything else unless, and as questions come up as you're going through, just let me know.
Great work, man.
Yeah, thank you.
As always, brother.
Okay. I would say to you, Matt, that, let's see, we have one more budget workshop, right, and then a follow-up, usually, if there's any final questions, would we do a final and vote at the same time? In fact, how many more meetings do we have?
So we
We
will
have two in March,
March 4th will be all of their funds.
okay?
The next meeting, which is the 18th, is a follow-up to anything that has changed between this meeting and then. Stuff, I will guarantee you something that will change in the next month.
Mhm.
There's no meeting on the 1st. Everything will be on for approval on the 15th.
Okay, so all ordinances will.
All ordinances,
Okay.
resolutions,
Okay.
fees, everything will be at one meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. Hearing no other discussion, and we'll move on to staff report. Scott?
Thank you. My report is in your packet. I also want to talk a little bit about communications with the public. It's something that the board has tasked administration with working on. And the budget at a glance, which was put on your desk, was something that was put together in collaboration with Grant Strategies Administration and the Finance Department. We're trying to have things that are more easy for people to digest rather than going through Matt's whole presentation and our budget document that's on the website. We thought this was an excellent fit and a good time of year to come out as we are working through budget right now. We plan on updating and having another one again next year. As we're going through the budget, this will be put online and made available. We want to kind of debut it tonight to show to everybody. We're also going to be doing a mailer to everybody that gets we're going to send it to all the addresses that have a water connection. I think that's the list you gave us out of BSNA, Matt. So there may be some people not in the village that get it because they're a water customer that doesn't necessarily live in the village, but if you're a water customer, we thought there's good value in you getting some of the information. It's also the best database that we have to send to. The other database that we had as an opportunity to send to would be the entire zip code, but that would be a lot of people that aren't necessarily water customers that would get it. It's just the way that the pricing is done by the post office. So
Are we sending it to Presbyterian residents since they get?
Yeah, I think that's why.
Yep, that's why they'd be included in the list that came came directly from BSNA for the water bill system, so they would get it as well. So they'll find out information
Anyone
about
that
that.
has a service address within the village.
Yep. So service address, not billing address, so, sorry.
No, I was just saying, anybody that has a service address within the utility billing system. So that includes Presbyterian, because we do send them bills.
So not the billing address, which is, if some people own properties but don't necessarily live here, so we want to make sure we got it to the front doors here, because we've had some luck with the water bill, but then some people went online and they just get the email now, so the talk was to try to find a different way to do it. We found that the best price decision was to do an accordion style mailer that's going to have multiple pages that kind of all fold up and then get mailed out together. I also get this a discount on the price. We looked at doing it like a larger mailing and maybe including some other taxing bodies, but then the larger mailing, the cost just goes up and up and up and doesn't necessarily make it as cost effective. So we're going to give this one a try. We're finalizing the mailer with some different information and hoping to get that out here in the next week or so. So that's another way we're trying to communicate with the public. We will include some of the key points of the budget at a glance as part of that, fold it up as well, and we're going to, of course, post that on our social medias. In addition, for communications, we've got Instagram. We did a video for the police station to kind of highlight. We put that on Facebook. We showed it at the State of the Village, and I think Tracy has it ready. We had such good uptake with the video that we did last year with the Show Off the Village.
Good morning.
That we wanted to do another one, and we thought this was a way for people hopefully to consume this video. We'll put it on our website as well. It's not already there. So they can find out, what we're doing, the state of the police station, hear from Chief about why we're doing these upgrades. So I just thought we'd share this tonight as well. It's pretty quick.
As your village president, I'm excited to share some important news about our police department renovations.
Hi, I'm Pat Rollins, the police chief of the Sugar Grove, Illinois Police Department. Sugar Grove is a vibrant, growing community, and the police department here in our existing building has been unable to keep up with the growth. Remodel.
So like technology is not.
It's about committed safety. Safety for our officers, our citizens, and even those in custody.
Working with our architects, we came up with some goals of what we were trying to accomplish after the spacing study was completed. Some of them included which line to provide essential workflow and operational safety of our space. We were looking to improve security of public and police department spaces. Provide secure vestibule. And we wanted to provide a cellular port
improvements will provide our police officers with the modern space and resources they need to perform their duties effectively. A well-lit facility will enhance their ability to serve and protect, ensuring that they can respond swiftly and efficiently to any situation. Additionally, a modern police department will play a crucial role in attracting new talent to our force. In today's world, having the right environment is essential for recruiting the best officers who are dedicated to serving our community's safety.
None of this would be possible without the support of the village board and village president Conan. We are so grateful for their direction and their leadership to make sure that these deficiencies that have been identified can be addressed.
The safety of our community is a top priority. By investing in our police department, we are investing in a safer future for everyone. Thank you for your continued support as we work together to make our village a better place to live.
I apologize, we should have muted all the TVs and let the sound go through the system, but we were getting some echo because of the way that that's set up. My apologies, but I think that the video does a good job showing off the current conditions, and then we'll do a follow-up once the renovations are done. Just to kind of share with the community where the tax dollars are being spent. That's the effort behind the video. We've also got Constant Contact started up, which we're trying to get people registered as fast as we can. We're going to be putting out the QR code more often, getting that out in front of people. That will be a way that we can send email updates. So we'll include some of our socials. If you're like myself, or you're not a big Facebook person, to get updates from the village. We've also put out the fact sheet about the referendum. We did a virtual town hall late last year with President Conan. And then finally, we did the State of the Village. Was an event with the Economic Development Corporation, but will also be next Tuesday. There will be free in-person for the residents, presentations of the State of the Village and a Q&A, which will be over at the library. So it gets more people in the library, we hope. And also makes the presentation of the State of the Village available for residents, not just for anyone that could make it to our sold out State of the Village with the Economic Development Corporation at Obanzi. So just want to highlight some of the ways we're trying to do additional communication. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. I really liked it. Very good. It's nice. I think the best part about this is that it is at a glance. People like to look at pictures. They have the highlights and the bullets. If there's anything that you guys want to see changed or added, I think it's a nice piece, and it tells a good story of what the village has been able to accomplish.
It's nice to see that if people are looking for fact-based information, that it's available and that people here at the village are ready to talk.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. All right, very next. Matt.
The only update that I have is on the IDOR sales tax boundary update. Just to give you an idea, sometimes at the state, we sent the annexation for Crown back in September. They still didn't have our boundaries updated for IDOR. Now, luckily, nothing has happened for the village's perspective, but they do now have our shapefile with the current boundaries and the annexation. So that'll be updated. They do it by April 1st, effective for June 1st, just like their state stuff. So that's just, we submitted it through the portal and sent it to them physically.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? Hearing none. Danny is out. Does anybody have any community development questions that maybe Scott could answer? Or Brad?
Big planning commission public hearing tomorrow night. We have Lennar, we have Truvet, and the fire department one will be open but continue to a special meeting in March because of some timing as we discussed at the last meeting, but should be a big planning commission public hearing tomorrow night.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
We were going to have Gordon Clark here yesterday, but we postponed. It's got pushed back to next Monday, so he'll be coming in, spending about 4 to 6 hours going through the building and taking measurements with a scanning device and from the interior and exterior, and then we'll be moving forward with the design plans.
Wonderful. Thank you for that update. Any questions for Chief? Okay. Brad?
Nothing bad.
Okay. Any questions for Brad?
Yeah, Brad, recall that there was a request, Chief, you might have been in on this too, to put a stop sign at Patricia and Snow. And that accident there, I guess it was over the summer. The thing I noticed there, going by there practically every day, is that if you're heading south on Patricia, and you're trying to look east on Snow, the trees are just like right there in the sight triangle. Is that a basis for being able to put a stop sign in there? Because, I mean, you cannot see traffic coming unless you stop going that way.
Does the canopy just have to be taken out?
No, it's just the trees are big old trees.
They're just too
They
big.
come right up to the, they come up, almost up to the corner. It's just a.
Thoughts?
We're doing a really good job with all new construction coming in and potential streets that are coming in, that we're making sure that there's stop signs on the cross streets and the main streets will allow free flow. And that'll be coming to possible developers when they put them in. So Ryan, Brad, and their team have been working with us just to make sure that we have better signage. There's still some parts of town that need to be addressed, and funding obviously would be part of that, and then the traffic study. Obviously, a line of sight with the tree trucks a lot is concerning, so we'll have to go back and take a look at it. A couple of years back, they put the flags on top of the Eagles signs. Yeah, on the east side and the west side of town drastically need to be looked at for better traffic flow. So
I just was wondering if the fact that it doesn't comply with our corner site distance ordinances, if that's a basis for putting a stop sign. I don't want to cut down the trees, of course. Tony wants to get out the chainsaw and get to work, but. Pardon?
He said ironically. It's true that problem. Okay.
We'll look into it.
I appreciate it.
Can I know this back a minute back to, but can we talk about speeds again? And speed studies? Did we do the speed study in Dukin?
it's still going.
It's still going,
Yes.
okay. And I think it goes to kind of what you're touching upon too, is I think part of, kids on electric scooters and all those things, I mean, they don't think anything of saying, oh, can't see it, and then they're out in front of traffic, and I would just hope the board would support village-wide, if we can get speed reductions down to 25 in our neighborhoods, would be a great start. I can tell you it's a long, long time ago, because but my nephew was hit by a car doing that exact thing, kind of when he was 5 years old, going in front of his car, parked, and then got hit, and thankfully survived, no issues, but you try to avoid those freak accidents, and speed has a lot to do with it. So in our neighborhoods, I know I've advocated before, in our neighborhood specifically, because it becomes a drive-through lane. And obviously what has transpired in Dugan was, I think it's time to see if we can get a village-wide speed reduction. It sounds like the first step is a speed study. Okay. All right. Heidi's shaking her head, so she supports a slowing of roads.
I live near where Park is, and sometimes you get some zoomies.
Yeah,
You know,
we do.
going
That's a busy
down-
one too. Yeah.
Going down Park.
Yeah.
And that's residential right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right, Michael.
Thank you. Just one item. You've probably seen in my reports recently that I'm part of a small group on the Aurora CBB board, and so we're seeing their strategic planning process. We had our first meeting last week with the company, the national firm that's been selected to develop a strategic plan. It will cover plan for the entire area as well as for individual communities. So there will be a Sugar Grove portion. And I will keep you informed as to how that's progressing. The report is due out in November. And there will be an opportunity
for them, the consultants to come in and say, Scott and Jen, some of our stakeholders such as Rich Harvest Farms, perhaps restaurants, as we continue to grow and bring in more restaurants, more opportunities to develop visitors, tourists to our community, and of course the hotel today. So I'll keep you informed. I think it's important. It's sort of found money. When someone can visit your town, and they're spending money here, they're not really taking up too much in terms of public services on the cost side. It's a good windfall for anyone's budget. So you keep it informed on how that's going.
Thanks. Any questions for Mike? Hearing none, trustee reports. Trustee Michael.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Trustee White.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Lundy.
I attended the State of the Village, which was very nice, good information, and very well attended. So nice, enjoyed it.
Thank you for being there.
And I got to see the video without the feedback. It was good.
Yeah. Okay. Trustee Heron.
Nothing new to report.
Trustee Bowden.
Nothing.
Trustee Shomers.
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I had to add was, I was gonna touch upon the State of the Village coming up, but, we like to still my thunder too. We had to move it because of weather, so it is happening next week, the 25th at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. The difference with this, because it really is targeting the community engagement, there was a Q&A after versus the presentation that was given at the Economic Development Corporation was really given to a different set of folks, so that it was just a presentation, no Q&A. I can't remember if it was before or after our last meeting, attending the Corn Boil meeting. The one thing you're probably seeing is they're selling license plates for $30 to promote the Corn Boil. You can have them personalized. They will likely do them in running order. Jackie Link with Old Second will be handling that. And they are legitimate license plates, $30. You have to keep your original plates in the car, but they'll need a copy of your registration for that. So I believe those plates are valid from late May till late July, so about 2-month time frame. And that's all I have. So
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a first out of trustee White, a second out of trustee Herron. Roll call please, Tracy. Trustee White.
Aye.
Trustee Heron.
No.
Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Trustee Lundy.
Yes.
Trustee Bowden. Trustee Shomers.
Thank you, motion carries 5-1. Meeting adjourned. You want this?
Yeah, it's not little conditions. Yeah. No rural thing. Sorry.